Ex-Christie Aide Matt Mowers, he says he's dumbfounded and disappointed the few Christie backers created a traffic nightmare on the GWB. He also testified before the New Jersey lawmakers today, saying that he was not involved in the plot, and testified that former Christie aide Bridgegate sent out the email directing the closure of the lanes to the GWB just one day after Fort Lee Mayor Mark Sokolich refused to endorse Christie.
Mayor Sokolich was candid and told me in no uncertain terms that he could not endorse the governor back in the spring of 2013. At that point, I did not view an endorsement as a possibility. Upon passing this information to others, no one I spoke with seemed overly interested or concerned at the time. Today, I sit here dumbfounded and disappointed that the actions seemingly taken by a few rogue individuals has tainted the good work that so many people have done on behalf of the state of New Jersey.
Got kind of testy today, but at the end, a lot of sizzle. I don't know how much steak.
You know, I politely disagree, because I think what they're doing here is building the foundation for proving, A, that the timeline that Governor Christie says, I didn't know anything about this until that press conference in January, is false. And there is growing indication, we heard from his press secretary, Druniak, last week, that said, I told Christie in December about the bridge lane closure. And you're starting to get more and more cracks in the story that Christie didn't know until January. And so they're laying the foundation for the claim that it's not the crime, it's the cover-up, if there is in fact a crime there. But I think you're also just getting a sense that the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing, and so you know, either it was mismanagement.
But isn't that the whole point of the governor?
Well, it was so it was either mismanagement from the governor's staff, or just that feeling of brutality, the sort of bullying mentality that went on in the governor's office that stretched out into his campaign and stretched out into his aides. I actually did not think today was a very good day for Chris Christie.
You know, this all said, we're going to talk more about the governor in a second, but he gave a speech yesterday or early this week that had the whiff of a guy who was running for higher office. He got into international policy and everything else. You get the sense from those close to him, they say, if this is the worst that it's going to be, it's bad, but I'm going to weather it, and they'll forget about it by next year. Whether he's right or wrong, you get the sense that's what those closest to him think.
That's what his advisors that are paid very well to support him, that's what they are wishing for in a nice scenario. I tend to agree with Andrew on this one. They're setting a timeline. But the only problem that I have, Richard, I don't know why the legislative body is being so aggressive with its investigation when they know no matter what they find, Governor Christie is going to say,
"Well, you know why? This is a chance for the 15 years for state senators and assembly who don't get listened to."
But show that you know how to handle it, because this investigation doesn't really matter. There's only one investigation that matters right now: the U.S. Attorney.
If you think this is bad, wait until that information gets into the hands of other people, other Republicans at a Republican debate as we approach the 2016 cycle. They're going to hammer Christie with this.
Okay, now let's talk about the governor on another issue. This isn't about the scandal, but this is about the math of New Jersey. The governor unveiled his plan to close New Jersey's budget gap, and we're talking about a lot of money. The state facing $800 million budget shortfall, and Governor Christie wants to reduce pension payments for public workers to help fill the gap. A $1.6 billion payment that was supposed to be made before the end of June will be cut magically to $696 million. And I'm not so sure, Andrew, how much of a hit he's really going to take for this. I think he deserves one, but if you follow the playbook in Wisconsin and other places in this country, talked about this earlier this hour, this seems to be, you know, safe trading. Always beat on the unions, you know, and
there's some magical accounting going on here. He's basically saying any of the past pension payments that were by my predecessors, I'm just not even going to deal with that. Which, by the way, is a tradition in New Jersey politics. There's been one governor in my lifetime, and that was Jim Florio, who actually dealt with the fiscal responsibilities.
Look what happened to him.
Everybody else has passed the buck from one governor to the next. I don't think he'll pay much of a political price for this. Again, until you get to the 2016 primary season, when you're supposed to be the fiscal responsible conservative.
Hey, if you cut pensions, that plays in a Republican primary, but I think it's really crummy. You're not going to raise a cent of taxes on anybody. Nobody likes taxes, but who are you going to do it? You're going to do it on the back of pensioners, and I think it's a cheap shot.
I agree with you. We'll see how this plays out. It's amazing when you're considered invincible that you can do no wrong and nobody questions you. But when there's a chink in that armor, as Christie has, all of a sudden people pay attention. So we'll see how this plays out. Let's just wait and see.
All right. When we come back, though, we switch gears, and we're going to head to a very nice story. In Kingston, New York, a one-time capital of New York State, a homeless man is standing by the old saying, and that is, honesty really the best policy. A guy doesn't have much, finds something, and decides to give it back. We'll have his story after this.